My friends, tonight we speak with clarity, with conviction, and with the gloves off, because the challenges we face, division, mistrust, and fear, are too great for silence. Now, I don't usually spend my time taking shots at folks, but when truth demands it, you've got to step up. This is not about politics. This is about the soul of our nation. Donald Trump has had his say, but now it's time for a different voice, a voice of hope, unity, and purpose. So let's get to work together, write the next chapter of the American story. Unity over division is not just a political slogan. It is the foundation upon which a strong and enduring society is built. In a world that often thrives on highlighting differences, whether they be political, racial, cultural, or economic, the idea of coming together might seem idealistic, but is absolutely essential. Division weakens us. It pits neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend, and citizen against citizen. When we are divided, our energy is spent on fighting each other rather than solving the challenges that face us all. The truth is, the problems we face do not discriminate. A broken economy, a failing education system, environmental crisis, and threats to national security, these affect all of us, no matter what side of the political aisle we stand on. And yet, too often, we allow differences to blind us to our shared humanity. Unity does not mean we all think the same or agree on everything. It means that we respect our differences and work together in spite of them. It means understanding that the strength of a community lies in its ability to embrace diversity while focusing on common goals. True unity is built on trust, compassion, and a willingness to listen. It requires setting aside ego and pride to see the bigger picture. Division, on the other hand, thrives on fear, misinformation, and suspicion. It convinces us that those who disagree with us are not just wrong, but dangerous. It breeds hostility and turns debates into battlegrounds instead of opportunities for growth. But unity reminds us that our neighbor is not our enemy. Unity compels us to look beyond the labels we place on each other: Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, immigrant, native born, and see the human being underneath. It pushes us to ask not, what do I stand to lose? But rather, what do we stand to gain together? When we embrace unity over division, we create space for innovation and progress. We invite dialogue instead of destruction. We understand that change is not something one person can deliver alone. It is the product of collective effort. History shows us that every great achievement, from civil rights to technological breakthroughs, was made possible by people coming together for a common cause, even when they didn't agree on every detail. Choosing unity also means rejecting the voices that profit from chaos. There are always those who benefit when people are divided, who fan the flames and anger because it keeps them in power or helps them sell an agenda. But as individuals, we have the power to refuse that game. We can decide to seek truth, to speak with respect, to find common ground, and to hold our leaders accountable for fostering cooperation rather than conflict. Unity is not easy. It demands patience, humility, and courage. It means extending a hand when it would be easier to point a finger. It means admitting when we're wrong and celebrating when others succeed. But the rewards of unity are worth the effort. When a nation is united, is resilient. It can withstand crisis, recover from loss, and create a future where every person has a chance to thrive. In the end, unity over division is not just the right choice. It is the only choice to wish to build something that will last beyond our own lifetimes. It is the choice that honors our shared humanity and ensures that together we rise higher than we ever could alone. Truth over falsehood is the bedrock of trust, the foundation upon which freedom, justice, and progress are built. Without truth, there can be no meaningful dialogue, no genuine understanding, and no real solutions to the challenges we face. In every era, societies have been tested by lies, some small, some so massive they threaten to rewrite history. Falsehood thrives in the shadows, spreading through rumor, manipulation, and deliberate deception. It divides communities, erodes trust in institutions, and leaves people uncertain about what to believe. When truth is obscured, people begin to make decisions based on fear, suspicion, or misinformation rather than facts, and those decisions often lead to division or conflict. Choosing truth over falsehood requires courage, because truth is not always easy to hear, nor is it always convenient. It can challenge deeply held beliefs, disrupt the status quo, and demand accountability from those who would rather operate in secrecy. Yet, truth also has the power to heal, to unite, and to inspire action grounded in reality rather than illusion. It invites transparency in leadership and honesty in our relationships. It allows us to face problems head on rather than burying them under comforting but dangerous lies. The danger of falsehood is not just in the lie itself, but in its ability to multiply. A single falsehood can spiral into a web of deception that becomes harder and harder to untangle until people no longer know what is real. This is why we must remain vigilant, not just in demanding truth from others, but in committing to speak it ourselves, even when it is uncomfortable. In today's world, where information travels faster than ever before, falsehood can spread in seconds, amplified by social media and fueled by outrage. But so can truth, if we are willing to fight for it. This means verifying facts before we share them, questioning sources, and resisting the temptation to pass along stories simply because they confirm our biases. Truth requires discipline. It asks us to slow down, to think critically, and to listen to perspectives that may challenge our own. Falsehood, on the other hand, is often seductive because it can be shaped to fit any narrative. It promises easy answers to complex problems and offers someone to blame for every hardship. But such simplicity comes at a cost. It blinds us to nuance, fuels division, and prevents meaningful change. History teaches us truth is often resisted before it is embraced. From the abolition of slavery to the fight for civil rights, from scientific breakthroughs to exposing government corruption, those who brought truth to light often faced ridicule, persecution, or worse. Yet their perseverance changed the course of history. They proved that, in the long run, truth has a way of prevailing, because it is rooted in reality, and reality cannot be ignored forever. Choosing truth over falsehood is not a passive act, it is an ongoing commitment to integrity. It means rejecting convenient lies even when they align with our desires. It means holding ourselves and others accountable, no matter the political, social, or personal cost. It is not always the easier path, but it is the path that leads to a stronger, more united society. When truth is our compass, we can navigate the storms of division, corruption, and fear. We can have debates grounded in reality rather than distortion. We can work together toward solutions that address the real problems we face, not imaginary ones designed to distract us. Truth over falsehood is more than a moral choice. It is a survival strategy for any free people. For without truth, the very fabric of our democracy begins to unravel. But with it, we can build trust, restore justice, and create a future defined not by deception, but by honesty, respect, and shared purpose. Hope over fear is a choice that defines the direction of our lives and the spirit of our communities. Fear has a way of paralyzing us, of making the world seem smaller and more dangerous than it truly is. It whispers that change is impossible, that challenges are too big, that we are too small to make a difference. It feeds on uncertainty and thrives in moments of crisis, convincing us to retreat into ourselves, to protect only what we know, and to distrust what lies ahead. Fear limits our vision. It pushes us towards suspicion instead of understanding, isolation instead of connection. When fear becomes our guide, it can lead us to abandon our values in exchange for a false sense of safety. It can pit us against one another, making us see neighbors as threats rather than partners in building a better future. But hope is different. Hope expands the horizon. It allows us to imagine a tomorrow better than today, and it gives us the courage to take steps toward making that vision real. Hope does not deny that hardship exists, it acknowledges it and says, even so, we can overcome this. Hope calls us to action, to believe that our efforts matter, and to trust that progress, though sometimes slow, is always possible when we refuse to give in to despair. Choosing hope over fear is not about ignoring reality or pretending that everything will be fine without effort. It is about facing reality with the belief that solutions are within reach if we work together. It is about finding strength in our shared humanity, knowing that while we cannot control every event, we can control how we respond to it. Hope inspires unity because it sees possibility where fear sees only risk. Fear divides, hope connects. Fear builds walls, hope opens doors. Throughout history, every great movement for justice, equality, and human progress began with hope, hope that the world could be fairer, kinder, freer. The leaders and everyday citizens who changed the course of history did so not because they were fearless, but because their hope was greater than their fear. They acted knowing the risks, yet believing the reward of a better future was worth it. In our personal lives, hope over fear means taking chances when the outcome is uncertain. It means starting the business you've dreamed of, speaking up for what you believe in, forgiving someone who has hurt you, or opening your heart to love after loss. It means trusting that even if you stumble, the experience will teach you something valuable. Fear tells us to stay safe and still. Hope tells us to grow and move forward in moments of crisis. Whether a natural disaster, a national tragedy, or a personal setback, fear can make us shut down. But hope motivates us to reach out to help others, to rebuild stronger than before. It gives us resilience. Resilience is born from the belief that no storm lasts forever, and that after the darkness, there is light. Fear wants us to believe that the darkness is permanent, that the light is a lie. But hope knows the light is real, and it pushes us toward it. Choosing hope over fear takes courage. It means refusing to be manipulated by those who profit from our anxiety. It means refusing to let anger or uncertainty make our decisions for us. It means seeing challenges as opportunities to create change rather than as reasons to give up. Hope empowers us to dream, to act, and to believe in something larger than ourselves. And when enough people choose hope over fear, we create a collective force strong enough to change the course of history. Hope is contagious. It can spread through a single act of kindness, a bold idea, a moment of honesty, or a shared vision for the future. And once it takes root, it becomes harder for fear to take hold. Hope over fear is not a naive dream. It is the foundation for progress, for justice, for lasting peace. It is the choice that keeps us moving forward when fear would have us turn back. It is the belief that, together, we can face anything, and that the best days are still ahead of us. Leadership with integrity is not simply about holding a position of authority. It is about earning the trust of those served through consistent honesty, transparency, and moral courage. True leadership is measured not by how much power a person holds, but by how responsibly they use that power. Integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is watching, and especially when it is difficult or unpopular. It means putting the needs of the people above personal gain and making decisions that are guided by principles rather than convenience. Without integrity, leadership becomes hollow, a performance rather than a service. Leaders without integrity may inspire short-term loyalty through fear, manipulation, or false promises, but over time, the truth comes to light and trust erodes. Once trust is broken, it is incredibly hard to rebuild. Integrity, on the other hand, builds a foundation of credibility. When people know that their leaders will tell the truth, keep their word, and own their mistakes, they are more likely to stand with them through challenges and setbacks. Leadership with integrity requires consistency between words and actions. It means that commitments are honored and that values are upheld even when those values are tested. It means having the courage to admit when you are wrong and the humility to listen to others, even if they disagree with you. This type of leadership values collaborative control and is willing to share credit when things go well, while taking responsibility when things go wrong. Integrity in leadership is also about fairness, ensuring that decisions are made without favoritism or discrimination, and that everyone is treated with dignity and respect. It is about creating an environment where people feel safe to speak the truth, challenge ideas, and contribute their best work without fear of retaliation. Leaders who operate with integrity foster trust not only within their teams, but also within their communities. They understand that their actions set the tone for others, and they lead by example, knowing that culture is shaped from the top down. In times of crisis, leadership with integrity becomes even more critical. It is easy to make ethical choices when everything is going well, but the real test comes when the pressure is high. The stakes are great, and the right choice may also be the hardest one. Leaders with integrity are willing to take that path, even at personal cost, because they know that their credibility and the well-being of those they lead depend on it. Integrity also requires transparency, being open about the reasoning behind decisions, and willing to engage in honest dialogue about the challenges ahead. This openness not only builds trust, but it also empowers others to contribute solutions and share in the responsibility of progress. Leadership with integrity is sustainable because it builds loyalty rooted in respect rather than fear. It creates a legacy that outlasts the leader's tenure, inspiring others to lead with the same commitment to honesty and fairness. People may forget the details of policies or speeches, but they will remember how a leader made them feel, whether they felt valued, respected, and heard. In the long run, integrity is not just a moral choice, it is a practical one. Without it, organizations crumble, movements lose momentum, and nations falter. With it, people rally together, overcome obstacles, and achieve goals that once seemed impossible. Leadership with integrity transforms authority into service, power into purpose, and vision into reality. It reminds us that the greatest leaders are not those who demand loyalty, but those who inspire it through their unwavering commitment to doing what is right, Responsibility for the future is more than a moral obligation. It is a conscious choice to act today with an awareness of the impact our actions will have on generations to come. Every decision we make, whether as individuals, communities, or nations, creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond the present moment. To take responsibility for the future means to recognize that we are stewards, not owners of the resources, freedoms, and opportunities we enjoy. We hold them in trust for those who will come after us, and it is our duty to ensure they inherit a world that is safer, fairer, and more sustainable than the one we found. This responsibility begins with about the challenges ahead: climate change, economic inequality, political division, technological disruption. These are not problems that will solve themselves. Ignoring them or passing them on to the next generation is a form of neglect that history will not forgive. Instead, we must be willing to confront these issues directly, to make difficult choices, and to invest in solutions that may not yield immediate results, but will pay dividends for decades to come. Responsibility for the future also means resisting the focus solely on short-term gains. In politics, in business, and in our personal lives, there is constant pressure to prioritize quick wins or immediate comfort over long-term stability. But true leadership and true citizenship demand that we think beyond our own lifetimes. Planting seeds for trees whose shade we may never sit under is the very definition of vision and sacrifice. Taking responsibility requires a willingness to make sacrifices in the present to protect the future. It may mean using resources more wisely, reducing waste, making fairer policies even when they are unpopular, or choosing innovation over convenience. It is about creating systems that are resilient, adaptable, and inclusive, so that future generations have the tools they need to thrive in an unpredictable world. This responsibility is not limited to governments and large organizations. Every person has a role to play. Parents and educators shape the minds and values of the next generation. Communities can create cultures of respect, cooperation, and empathy that prepare young people to weave wisdom. Consumers can make choices that support sustainability and fairness. Each action, no matter how small, contributes to the legacy we leave behind. Responsibility for the future also means preparing the next generation to face challenges we cannot yet see. This requires equipping them with critical thinking skills, a sense of global awareness, and the resilience to adapt to change. It requires passing on not just material wealth, but also moral principles and the courage to defend them. We must model the kind of integrity, empathy, and determination we hope to see in tomorrow's leaders. It is easy to think of the future as an abstract concept, something far away and beyond our control. But the truth is, the future is built in the present. Every policy passed, every innovation created, every value upheld or abandoned shapes the world that will exist years from now. The responsibility we carry is both a privilege and a burden. It challenges us to rise above selfishness, to think beyond the moment, and to care deeply about people we may never meet. History will judge us not only by what we accomplish for ourselves, but by what we leave for those who follow. Will we be remembered as a generation that consumed recklessly and turned away from hard truths, or as one that embraced its role as a caretaker of the earth and its people? The answer lies in the choices we make today. Responsibility for the future calls on us to live with purpose, to lead with vision, and to act with the understanding that the story of tomorrow is being written right now. The power of collective action is the force that has shaped revolutions, transformed societies, and achieved what once seemed impossible. Alone, a single voice can be dismissed, a single effort overlooked. But when individuals come together, united by a shared purpose, their combined strength can move mountains. Collective action is rooted in the understanding that our challenges are too vast for any one person to solve alone. Whether it is fighting injustice, rebuilding after disaster, advancing human rights, or addressing climate change, history has shown time and again that the most significant progress comes when people act together. This power lies not only in numbers, but in the diversity of skills, perspectives, and experiences that a group brings. One person's idea sparks another's improvement. One person's courage inspires another's action. Together, people can pool resources, share burdens, and sustain momentum long after individual determination might have faded. The impact of collective action can be seen in movements that have reshaped the course of history. The civil rights movement, women's suffrage, the fight against apartheid, the mobilization for environmental protection, all were driven by ordinary people refusing to remain silent, standing together for a common cause. Their victories remind us that collective action is not about waiting for a leader to save us, but about becoming leaders ourselves and empowering others to do the same. Collective action thrives on solidarity, the belief that our fates are intertwined. It rejects the idea that we are isolated actors competing for limited resources, and instead embraces the truth that cooperation can create abundance. It turns me into we, replacing self-interest with mutual benefit. When people unite, they amplify their influence, not only on policymakers and institutions, but on the culture itself. Collective action is also a safeguard against despair. Faced with daunting problems, it is easy to feel powerless, to believe that our efforts will make no difference. But when we act alongside others, our sense of agency grows. We draw strength from shared purpose, from knowing that we are not alone in the struggle. This shared commitment can sustain us through setbacks and fuel the persistence needed for lasting change. However, the power of collective action is not automatic. It requires organization, trust, and a willingness to listen to different viewpoints. It demands patience, because progress achieved through cooperation often takes time. It calls for empathy, because working with others means understanding and valuing their needs as much as our own. The greatest successes of collective action come when participants are bound together by clear goals, honest communication, and a shared sense of responsibility. In the modern world, technology has magnified the reach of collective action. Social media can mobilize millions within hours, connecting people across borders and cultures. Crowdfunding can turn small individual contributions into major resources for change. Online petitions, virtual protests, and global campaigns demonstrate that geography is no longer a barrier to collective effort. Yet, the digital age also brings challenges, misinformation, division, and the temptation to substitute online gestures for sustained, real-world action. True collective action requires both the spark of digital mobilization and the substance of on-the-ground commitment. The power of collective action lies in its ability to transform not only external conditions, but also the people involved. Working together teaches humility, strengthens community bonds, and fosters a sense of belonging. It reminds us that change is not a gift bestowed by the powerful, but a right earned by the determined. It shows us that while one person can light a candle, 1,000 together can illuminate the darkest night. The lesson is clear: our voices, our votes, our efforts, and our dreams are stronger when they are joined. The problems we face may be great, but the power of collective action is greater still, and when we choose to stand together, there is no limit to what we can achieve.